If you have a moment, stick around after the story for an update on merch. Here's Thea, Part 3. But they can walk on their back legs, though, right? It wasn't a bear. What are you saying? Henry drew in a breath. I'm saying that I don't know exactly what is happening here, and I'd like you to be careful. Okay, Thea replied, not sure what else to say. I'm sorry, I don't mean to frighten you, he apologized, offering a smile, and it struck Thea again just how handsome he was. She shook her head as if to shake off the thought and stood. Not at all, I completely understand, she replied. You're at the Cooper's cabin, out on the lake, is that right? I'm not sure, I rented it through Bugbear Realty. He nodded. It's the Cooper cabin. Keep those doors locked. I will. As she turned to go, he asked, Will I see you at Jack's party? She turned back, confused. Jilly's husband's birthday, at Bugbear Tavern. My brother's band is playing. Oh, yes, I'll be there. Good, he said, flashing those ridiculously cute dimples again. Flustered, Thea mimicked, Good, then, okay, well, bye. Be careful, he warned again. Back out in the lobby, Thea retrieved her bag and checked her phone. She had 3 missed calls from her father and 1 from her mother. Apparently, Ellen had made the rounds. She couldn't handle a phone call now, so she typed into the group chat with her parents. Everything's fine here. There was an accident at the resort, and unfortunately, a contractor was killed. I will call you guys when I can. It was a white lie, a touch of a fib, but she didn't need her father driving up here to retrieve her. When her parents divorced, her mom stayed back in the Caribbean, while she and her dad moved to his hometown in Amity. So there was no chance of her mom popping up in New Hampshire unannounced, but she didn't need them working each other up over her safety. At the first hint that she might be in trouble, they tended to overreact and swoop in. Part of her could understand that it was a natural response to what had happened to her as a little girl, but another part of her felt smothered, not only by their constant vigilance over her, but of her grandmother's histrionic tendencies. The woman saw monsters around every corner. It was a huge part of why she wanted that Colorado job so badly. It would put plenty of space between her and the people who loved her to the point of wanting her to wear a life jacket on dry land. Thea looked up from her phone as Kara came out from behind the check-in desk. They said I have to stay out of the office, and they won't know until tomorrow when I can get back in there, she griped. I'm sorry about what happened to poor Greg, but I don't understand what my office could possibly have to do with it. Bruce joined them. The detective just told me we have to clear out. She'll let us know when we can come back, but it won't be before tomorrow afternoon at the earliest. Without waiting for a response, he shrugged into his jacket and huffed out the front door. You want to go get lunch at Jilly's? Asked Kara. Thea sensed that Kara wanted to offer a ride, so she said, I'll follow you, to head her off at the pass. Thea's car was still parked beneath the portico, and for that she was grateful. She was uneasy stepping outside, even though there were 3 police cruisers and several other official vehicles parked in front of the hotel. The sky overhead churned with gray clouds threatening more rain. Leaves fluttered through the air in a strong, cold wind that felt like it came straight down from the mountain. Shivering, she started her car and pulled out of the parking lot behind Kara's SUV. She knew she should call Shelley. She had to call Shelley. It was best to just get it over with. Popping in her earbuds, she placed the call. Hello again, her boss answered cheerfully. Hi, I have some bad news, Thea began. Is it the lodge? It's the lodge, isn't it? I was rereading those messages from Bruce, and he explicitly stated that the work on the lodge was complete. I don't understand. No, it's not the lodge. I mean, it is true that the lodge isn't ready for guests, but why in the world not? What could possibly have happened? From what I understand, an animal got in and caused damage. God damn it, Shelley seethed. I've had it with that contractor. If he left that building unsecured, then he can pay for whatever damage has been caused. Shelley, wait. I'm not calling about the lodge. There was an accident. Another one? Thea hesitated. That contractor, Greg, was killed on his way back from the lodge to the hotel last night. Oh, Christ, Shelley breathed. What happened to him? They think he was attacked by an animal. My God, how awful. The poor man. Everyone was just questioned by the police and... Hold up, what now? The police are investigating the accident. We were all questioned at the hotel this morning, and they asked us to clear out at least until tomorrow afternoon. Why is this the first that I'm hearing of this? I'm sorry, the chief of police asked me not to talk to anyone until I'd spoken with him, and I just got out of the interview. What about my brother? Oh, well, I believe he left the hotel as well. Shelley let out what could only be described as a growl. I need to call him. I'll speak with you later this afternoon. Please keep going with the arrangements for the opening as best you can. There'll be a way to spin this. Just keep your phone close. The call disconnected as Thea pulled into a parking space in front of the cafe. Her anxiety was at a solid 10. She closed her eyes and took several deep breaths, in through her nose, out through her mouth, her mind filled with the image of the blood-soaked patio furniture. The picture morphed into blood-stained water, yellow torn plastic, and the sound of her best friend frantically screaming for her mother. Her eyes snapped open. I'm safe, she whispered to herself. It's safe here. The cafe was packed. Kara waved and called hello to several of the patrons before they placed their orders. Thea followed her lead, ordering a Parmesan-crusted grilled cheese panini with a cup of tomato bisque. Jilly took their orders, insisting that they each accept a glass of sparkling fig balsamic lemonade on the house. I'll bring your food over myself, Jilly told them. Lunch rush is just about over. Maura can take over. My feet need a break. They found an available table beside the bookshelves. Did you know him well? Thea asked once they were settled. Kara shook her head. We were friendly when we saw each other at the hotel, but I didn't know him any more than to say hello in passing. It's crazy. We never have bear attacks in New Hampshire. I Googled it. The last fatal black bear attack here was in 1784. What about grizzly bears? Kara laughed. They don't live anywhere near here, thank goodness. Thea thought of Henry's warning. The chief seemed pretty worried about everyone's safety. So was Detective LeBlanc. She told me to get bear spray. Thea bit the inside of her cheek to stop herself from blurting, It wasn't a bear. What a horrible way to go, Kara said, sipping her soda. Thea agreed. I don't want to be callous, but what do I think the chances of the party actually happening are? Kara finished for her. If they find the animal who did this, I can't imagine they'll make us reschedule. I'm more concerned about whether or not anyone's going to want to come to a hotel where a man was mauled to death just steps away from the resort. Here we are, Jilly said, placing sandwiches and soups on the table, before leaning the tray against the wall and sitting down with them. Poor Greg, huh? I'm sorry, Thea offered. Did you know him well? Just from the cafe. She motioned to the patrons around them. I hear he's from Madison, lived on Silver Lake. No kids, thank God, but he did have a long-term girlfriend. Maura knows her. Says she'll be gutted. Thea and Kara expressed regrets over the woman's loss. So, what's the scuttlebutt at the hotel? What are the police saying? Detective LeBlanc suggested bear spray. She knows better than that. Black bear didn't kill him. I guess it could have been that moose that got hit in front of the hotel, Kara surmised. Moose trample people. They don't rip their arms off, Jilly countered. Jesus, Kara breathed. How did you hear about his arms? Thea asked, surprised. Ed stopped in for coffee on his way home from the hotel. So much for keeping it quiet, Kara sighed. Jilly encouraged them to eat while their food was still hot. The meal turned out to be one of the best Thea had ever enjoyed. As the cafe emptied around them, Kara and Jilly gossiped pleasantly about their neighbors. When they were done with their meal, Jilly brought them decaf coffees and gingerbread men cookies with piped frosting jack-o'-lantern smiles. Breaking an arm off a cookie, Thea asked, if it wasn't a bear or a moose, then what was it? I can think of only one animal around here strong enough to rip off a man's arms, Jilly said, sipping her coffee. Kara rolled her eyes. Oh, come on. Don't tell me it didn't occur to you, too, Jilly countered. Sure, I thought of it, Kara admitted, but just because of all the stories, I don't seriously think it's a possibility. What are you guys talking about? Thea pressed. The bugbear, Jilly replied. The mountain? Thea asked, confused. No, the animal the mountain was named after. It's just a legend, Kara insisted. It's not real. Tell that to my cousin, Jilly countered. Oh, please, said Kara. What happened to your cousin? Asked Thea, intrigued. Don't encourage her, Kara insisted. My cousin Tom is an Eagle Scout, Jilly began, ignoring Kara. And to earn that rank, he had to complete a service project. There's a spot on the backside of Bugbear. Lakeview Peak, Thea corrected automatically. Jilly smiled. Sure. Well, there's a hiking trail on the backside of Lakeview Peak with a real muddy patch every spring. Tom proposed building a short wooden bridge across that muddy stretch to satisfy the rank requirement. He got it approved by the town and everything, but he never had a chance to complete it because he got chased off by that creature. Kara sighed dramatically. It's true, Jilly insisted. It didn't want him in the area. The first couple of days he was just hauling supplies to the location, so he was in and out and didn't notice anything out of the ordinary. But he told me the third day he hiked out there, he found all of his boards, which he'd stacked nicely, strewn all over the site. He dropped the rest of his supplies, restacked everything, and got out of there. He thought it was a hiker or some mountain guy who got pissed that he was building on the trail. You know, some people just want to keep things as they are and not interfere with nature. Like the Alonzos, Kara suggested. Their hearts are in the right place, Jilly replied, nodding in agreement. So Tom got out of there, and my uncle hiked out there with him the next day, just in case someone wanted to cause trouble. But Tom's stuff was untouched, so he got started on the build. Next day, no problem. Day after that, though, oof. The progress he'd made had been smashed to bits, completely ripped apart. He got the chief out there to look at it. Henry's dad, Kara interjected. That's right, the first Chief Walsh. Just as handsome as that son of his, Jilly said, winking at Thea, who felt her face redden. Well, Tom knew he had to bring some sort of proof to the scouts for why he was abandoning the project. He also knew better than to press ahead with the way things were going. Figured it was some angry backwoodsman, and he wasn't about to go up against them, so Chief Walsh told him that if he cleared out all the supplies and left the site as he'd found it, he would call the town and the scouts himself and explain that Tom had no choice but to abandon the project. It was a real pain in the ass, but Tom promised he'd get in touch once he'd cleared everything out. Next day he goes back, and he said the atmosphere, the vibes were just off. Apparently, the weather had turned, so it was gray and blustery, and as he was clearing out the site, he kept thinking he heard something circling him in the woods, crackling through the underbrush and down branches around him, but every time he stopped to scan the place, he didn't see anything. He got out of there as fast as he could, and he waited a few days to go back for the final load of materials. He said at the time he tried to blame it on the bad weather that had moved in, but he was really freaked out by how creepy the place had become. So he heads out there the final time. Did he at least bring a rifle with him? Kara asked, and Thea noted that the woman's skepticism with the story seemed to have disappeared. No, my uncle wouldn't let him. Said he didn't need him shooting a hiker or himself by accident. So he knew how freaked your cousin was, and he still let him go out there alone? Jilly shrugged. These guys, I'm sure my uncle thought going out there scared would toughen Tom up. He mustn't have thought there was any real danger, or he wouldn't have sent him out there alone. He probably figured it was some backwoods guy messing with Tom, and since he wasn't continuing the build, the guy would have no reason to keep screwing with him. So Tom went out for their final haul. He said the site was a muddy mess from the storm, proving the need for the little bridge he'd intended, and he was pissed about having to abandon the project. So when he heard someone crunching around the woods, he screamed at them, something like, "Are you satisfied now? Go ahead and roll around in the mud like a pig for all I care once I'm gone. But you get the fuck out of here before I kick your ass." Poor guy, Jilly said, chuckling to herself. When no one responded, he set to finishing up, and as he was bent over, tying off a stack of boards, something hit him in the back of the head, hard. Someone had thrown a rock at him, said it drew blood. He looked around and didn't see anyone, but it's dense back there, Anyone could have easily hidden from view, and at that point, he was freaked out. "I'm leaving," he yelled into the trees. "Just fuck off, I'm going." So he did his best to gather everything as fast as he could, and when he told me about it, he said he knew that he wasn't thinking straight, that he should have just beat feet out of there, and the scouts and the chief and everyone else would have understood, but he was determined to get that Eagle Scout ranking. He couldn't just leave the building materials behind. It would go against everything he'd learned in the scouts. So he kept at it, and then he heard a huge commotion off in the woods. Not far, but far enough that he couldn't make out exactly what was happening. But what it sounded like was someone ramming into a tree until the tree actually came down. That's when he finally said fuck it and decided to get out of there. It occurred to him that it might not be just one backwoods guy screwing with him, but a group of them that scared him more than anything. He picked up what he could, started out of there, but it was slow going. The trail was muddy from the storm, remember? And he was being followed. He said he could sense it, and he could hear it, too. He heard 2 more trees go down, one off to the left of the trail, and a little later on, one further up ahead and to the right. He was on the backside of the mountain, so it was all uphill till he made it back over. He wasn't far from the trail summit when he heard branches breaking right beside the trail. Sounded like something was sprinting out of the woods right for him. He said he just froze and braced himself for whatever was coming for him, and then nothing. "What?" Kara said, incredulous. Thea realized she'd been holding her breath in anticipation. The thing stopped short. Tom said he could make out fur through the trees, dark brown fur, and he wondered if maybe it was a moose trying to run him off. He started to feel not relieved because a moose could definitely attack him, but at least it was an animal and not some wacko woodsman screwing with him. When the thing didn't move towards him, he took a tentative step away down the path. He was walking sideways, wanting to keep an eye on it. It stayed put, so after a few side steps, he felt comfortable enough turning forward, and that's when he saw the other one. "Another moose?" Thea guessed. "Nope, not a moose," Jilly said seriously. It was a bugbear, right there, clear as day. He guessed it was at least 8 feet tall. It was covered with dark brown fur, massive, standing upright, but sort of hunched over. Big, ugly head, like a man mixed with an ape mixed with a pig, and massive. Long, strong arms, tree trunk legs. "There's no way," Kara breathed. "Hold on," said Thea. "Is the bugbear supposed to be Bigfoot?" "Not supposed to be. Is," Jilly replied. "How did he get out of there?" asked Kara. "Luckily, they let him go. The one on the trail stared him down for a good long time, then finally walked off into the woods. When Tom was able to get up the courage, he made a run for it. He thinks they were just trying to scare him off. He did say, though, that he thinks if he went back again, they would have attacked him, that he should have taken the hint at their first few attempts to let him know he wasn't welcome. This was their way of saying, 'Don't come back here again or we will hurt you.'" "Bigfoot," Thea said quietly. "For real?" "There are countless stories from people who've hiked those back trails. Ask anyone." "Actually," Jilly said, brightening, "ask around at Jack's birthday party tomorrow night. People love telling their bugbear stories." "Wait, tomorrow night?" said Thea. "I thought you said the party was Saturday." "Oh, shoot, I keep doing that. Jack's actual birthday is Saturday, but the party's tomorrow night, Friday. You still going to come?" "Of course, I'm looking forward to it," she replied, only half fibbing. "But about your cousin," said Kara, turning the conversation back to Jilly's story. "Everyone claims to have either seen that creature themselves, or they have a brother or an aunt or a cousin twice removed who's seen one." "And you don't?" Jilly asked, eyebrows raised. Kara shrugged. "My dad claims he saw one on the bank when he was fishing years ago at Pike's Creek." "For real?" Thea said. "Everyone's dad has a story like that. It's a legend, a warning. When you grow up here, you spend a lot of time hiking and camping, and the bugbear is a way to scare kids from wandering off the trail." "Maybe," Jilly conceded. "But where there's smoke, there's fire. I think they stirred them up when they expanded that ski mountain. They never should have added those new trails. Renovate the place, spruce it up a bit, that's fine. It's great for the town. But they never should have cut into those woods." Back in her car, Thea checked her text messages. Her parents' responses were predictably filled with panic and worry, but she was able to reassure them that she was safe, that the accident was an isolated incident, and that she'd call each of them later that evening. Instead of heading right back to her cabin, she decided to take the opposite route around the lake to kill some time and get a better idea of the town. What if she couldn't convince Shelley to choose her for Colorado? What if Lakeview Peak was her only option? Would she take it? Arm-ripping monster creatures stalking the woods aside, what if this was it? Could she live here? She could do anything for a couple years if she put her mind to it. Her dream had been a permanent position as an event director at a high-end resort. Technically, the New Hampshire job was that dream, but she'd had her sights set out west for over a year. Could she shift focus if she had to, or would she look for another job altogether? She imagined herself living in a little cabin on the mountain and having regular coffee chats with Jilly and Kara, overseeing autumn weddings and summer corporate retreats, creating après-ski events to cater to their winter clientele. It really wasn't all that far off than what she'd imagined for herself in Colorado, only it was closer to home and would be much easier to stay connected with everyone on the island. The lake sat ominously to one side of the winding road. She'd dealt with the water her whole life, learn to live near it without interacting with it. Living here wouldn't be that much different. It was just that when she'd pictured living in Colorado, she'd pictured herself landlocked and free from the daily reminder of the monsters that lurked below. Ahead, an adorable shingled building surrounded by lush hydrangea bushes, their blooms rusted by the season, caught her attention. She saw the sign, Bugbear Blooms, and turned into the parking lot. It was as good a time as any to stop in and finalize plans with the florist. Inside, dried bouquets hung from the rafters, more dried arrangements in rustic vases crowded tables along the walls, and stainless steel buckets before the front counter held cattails, tall grasses, and other autumnal greenery that she recognized but didn't know for their proper names. "Hello," a woman greeted her from behind the counter. She was trimming the stems off a bunch of burgundy peonies. "How can I help you?" "I'm Thea Brody, from the resort. Are you Cora?" The woman put the flowers down on the counter. I am so sorry to hear about the accident." "Thank you," Thea replied. "It really is a horrible tragedy." "Don't worry at all about your invoice. I hadn't even placed your order yet. Under the circumstances, I'm happy to waive the cancellation fee." "Oh, we don't intend to cancel. I was just coming to finalize the order, actually." "But there won't be a party," Cora said, appearing confused. "Oh, we're moving forward as planned, unless we hear otherwise," Thea replied. "But they're closing the resort," Cora insisted. "Who told you that?" Thea asked, the tightness in her chest that had been with her since she arrived in town intensified by several degrees, threatening to cut off her breath. "It's all anyone is talking about," Cora replied. "It's such a shame." As of this recording, your t-shirt orders have raised $680 for the prison book program. To put that in perspective, the entire request list on the Wellesley Books website currently contains 26 books that total just $467, so we've more than wiped that out. So let's keep going. The old Ghost in the Burbs baseball-style t-shirts will be on sale through October 25th, and all proceeds from this t-shirt sale will go to the Prison Book Project. They make sure incarcerated people get the exact reading material that they want and need. The mission of the Prison Book Program is to support people in prison by sending them free books and reading materials that meet their specific needs and interests. So head over to Insta or ghostintheburbs.com for the t-shirt link. And if you do order, I suggest sizing up. They run a little small. And thank you to everyone who's already ordered and made this fundraiser an incredible success.